Key to eliminating poverty in many parts of the world is transportation. Transportation to school, transportation to work, and transportation to medical services. For many of the rural poor, particularly girls in school and young women, bicycles are literally a lifesaver.
This is the best of the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, where we select from our library of hundreds of past presentations. One of our goals is to connect with people who have wonderfully interesting stories that inspire us to think about solutions to vexing problems in all sorts of ways. We hope you will find inspiration in what you hear today.
Without access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities, people continue to live in poverty and die from preventable diseases. World Bicycle Relief is changing that with quality bicycles. We build specially designed, locally assembled, strong and reliable bicycles and distribute them to school children, healthcare workers, and provide them to entrepreneurs.
Hey everybody, this is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, and we are excited to have you join us. We are just totally focused on the possibility of sharing cool stories with those interested in service around the world. And you are joining the recording of the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, which is an online asynchronous Rotary club. Because we're a Rotary club, that means that we're into service above self, Rotary's motto. And we're part of a 1.2 million member organization around the world, 34,000 clubs. And we love to share stories that inspire people to see what they can do to make a difference in the lives of others. This week, our program is with Dave and Kemi of World Bicycle Relief. So a little bit about them both. All right. First, Dave Neiswander is a 13-year member of World Bicycle Relief. He spent most of that time in Africa. He will undoubtedly be telling us a little bit about his experiences there. This is an opportunity for him to connect those experiences with what bicycles can be in terms of helping people develop possibilities in education, gender equity, healthcare, and economic development. And with him is a relatively new member of the organization, but a longtime supporter and donor to World Bicycle Relief, Kemi King. And with that, I will hand it over to Dave for the presentation. Dave, welcome.
Thank you so much, Russian. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much to the E-Club and Rotary. We've had a great existing relationship with Rotary, and we're excited to share the story of World Bicycle Relief. World Bicycle Relief is 15 years old this year and really started as a disaster relief to the Indian Ocean tsunami that took place in December of 2004. And we really come from the cycling industry. One of the co-founders of Shram Corporation, FK Day, and his wife, Leah Misbach Day, thought, well, with this disaster that's taken place, maybe bicycles could make a difference as it relates to the recovery, the healthcare, the economic, the educational recovery in the disaster-laden areas in the Indian Ocean tsunami. So went on the ground and put together a program that started with 24,000 locally sourced bicycles and was able to partner with the local group and saw great impact. And in fact, instead of being a one and done disaster recovery, World Bicycle Relief started from that original program. So we did initially 24,400 bicycles. They went into healthcare programs for people that were working with disaster relief and trying to help the people that were in need. Education, students that were displaced because of the tsunami, having to reconnect with their schools. And then entrepreneurs, think about a fisherman in that situation that might be displaced because of the tsunami, having to reconnect between the ocean and those new markets. And what we found in that initial program was that the impact was great. There was a study that was done, a post-impact study that was done that shows that there was a connection to those vital resources of healthcare, education, and livelihood. And we also heard that the 250,000 people that perished with the Indian Ocean tsunami, that happens every 6 weeks in sub-Saharan Africa with preventable diseases, poverty, and bicycles and mobility are really big impact. So from that initial program 15 years ago, we're now up to about 170 people in 13 countries. We just kicked over 500,000 bicycles that have been deployed in over 20 countries. And really excited to talk to a little bit about the impact that bicycles could have as it relates to both healthcare, education, and economic development. Today, I want to take you a little bit on the journey. As Rushton mentioned, I spent most of my career with World Bicycle League in Africa. I was actually the first person on the ground in Zambia back in 2007 and living in Zambia. So, and give you a little bit of picture of what Zambia is. Zambia is in sub-Saharan Africa. It's about the size of Texas with half the population. This is a very typical picture of sort of the rural areas. There are no school buses that are taking kids to schools. There's very little in the rural areas as far as paved roads and no highways. So in remote villages around the world, many people live in simple huts, just like Tamara here. In her home, there's no electricity, there's no running water. The roads to the nearest water source, school, and healthcare center are long, and oftentimes only simple trails connect her to those vital resources. In Zambia, more than 50% of the people live on less than $2 a day, and most of them are living in rural areas. They have really very few mobility options other than walking. And if their main mode of transportation is walking, distance really does become a barrier. And time is an enemy. And to accomplish your daily tasks is basically a race against the sun. So when you think about things as far as fetching water, going to school, visiting a health clinic, or delivering your goods to the marketplace, these daily tasks become a race against the sun and fatigue. Without access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities, people continue to live in poverty and die from preventable diseases. World Bicycle League is changing that with quality bicycles. We build specially designed, locally assembled, strong and reliable bicycles and distribute them to school children, healthcare workers, and provide them to entrepreneurs. Buffalo Bicycle is designed and manufactured to be durable and affordable. And this is really where our lineage coming from SRAM Corporation, which is, again, the world's second largest bicycle component manufacturer, U.S. largest bicycle component manufacturer, really comes into play. The Buffalo Bicycle is a simple design to make it suitable for locally available spare parts. Strong like a buffalo, it's all made of steel. It is about 50 pounds of lug. There's a lot of steel that goes into that bicycle. And every part of it has been very specifically product development. And what's really special about the Buffalo Bicycle is that rear carrying rack. You'll see 100 kg or about 220 pounds. So if you're taking a sick patient to the clinic, or if you're taking a student, two students are riding their bicycle, you can ride somebody on the back of it. Or if you're taking your produce or milk to the marketplace, it's really important to have that carrying capacity. What was interesting about our program when we first got on the ground there, we were working with a healthcare program and delivered 23,000 bicycles to healthcare workers that were helping with the HIV/AIDS pandemic. What happened soon after our first distribution of bicycles, people saw that improved bicycle and said, listen, I've seen that bicycle. It's very different from what is locally available, what we affectionately call bicycle-shaped objects. The bicycles that are being imported in from India or China really break apart very quickly. They're based off of an old design, but they've been cheapened throughout the supply chain really to maximize profits and not to the usability of the end user. So market demand made us create the for-profit subsidiary, which is Buffalo Bicycles. So Buffalo Bicycles was started in 2008. It's 100% owned by the not-for-profit. So all the sales and proceeds and the value chain and the profitability, it goes up to World Bicycle League. So by combining philanthropic programs into healthcare and education and social enterprise sales really is an innovative and scalable model that really successfully addresses some of the need for reliable, affordable transportation. We assemble our bicycles locally in our operations in Zambia, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Malawi, and as of this year in Colombia. In those countries, we also have Buffalo Bicycle shops where we sell bicycles and spare parts. Our Buffalo Bicycles can be found all over the world, some in Southeast Asia, some in South America. And as I just mentioned, we did open up a new facility just this year in Barranquilla, Colombia, as we increase our program into Latin America. So to date, as I mentioned, we've delivered over 500,000 bicycles to students, healthcare workers, and entrepreneurs. And we've trained more than 2,500 bicycle field mechanics. So within those 15 years, we really have been proven to be the large scale implementing philanthropic bicycle programs. As the philanthropic bike programs grow, the social enterprise sales have also been growing at a pretty good clip. Our experience and research of the data shows that mobility really is essential in very many elements of development. It really is sort of cross-cutting. And the bicycle providing basic mobility contributes to 9 of what's used as the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. Since the time is limited here, I want to focus on a few stories to illustrate how our Buffalo Bicycle contributes towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals of the SDGs. First one to highlight is no poverty. There's been remarkable progress over the last many years as far as poverty reduction, but the challenges still remain. And one of that reasons is most people in the poorest of the country live in remote areas with limited access to education, healthcare, economic opportunity, electricity, safe water. And no matter what you do for a living, your success or failure is very dependent upon available transportation options. Let's take Joe, for example. Joe is a welder. He's in Zambia. He used to spend about most of his earnings to pay for his bus ride, if the bus arrived even at all. Now he transports 220 pounds of steel on his Buffalo bicycles, 55 miles round trip. He's able to take this journey whenever he needs, and that saves him quite a bit of money. Georgina is a dairy farmer. She's one of my favorite people. She's also in Zambia. And thanks to Buffalo Bicycles, she's able to deliver 23% more dairy to the milk cooperative than she was prior to simply having reliable utility transportation. And with that, she's able to reduce her travel time by 45%. The next one I want to talk about is zero hunger. According to the UN, nearly a decade of progress, the number of people who suffer from hunger has slowly started to increase over the past 3 years, with about 1 in every 9 people globally suffering from hunger today. A reliable bicycle helps not only to transport milk, also grain, fruits and vegetables, even chickens and goats. Good health and well-being. Many parts in the rural parts of Africa, there's very often only one doctor or one nurse serving thousands of people, huge catchment areas with just one small clinic. Distance to healthcare centers can be really far apart. This is why many volunteers of the communities have to go visit the patients and do what we call home-based care, whether it's giving them antiretroviral medicine, following up on malaria, following up on tuberculosis, and especially in this time with the COVID, making sure that their neighbors are doing well, but having to travel 10, 15 kilometers apart, that can really reduce your availability and your outreach. With a bicycle, healthcare workers can reach 88% more patients and travel 4 times farther than on foot. They can visit patients more frequently, can spend time with them while they're taking care of their families' duties. Really has also doubled the retention when the bicycle is used as an incentive to continue with their volunteering because they're able to take care of their own families because they have this tool, the bicycle. Quality education. One of the biggest barriers to education in rural areas is often the physical act of actually just getting to school. Can you imagine getting up and having to walk 4 to 5 to 10 miles to get to school? Imagine that's what stood between you and your education, especially if you're a girl student. With our education program, we provide bicycles to students, to teachers, to school volunteers to prove access to education, to reduce the travel time, and to help improve educational outcome. The program, we call it BEEP, Bicycle Education Empowerment Program, really has 3 pillars to it. One, that it's community-led, that there's a local group that determine who receives the bicycles. There's a study-to-own contract where the students have to continue to be in school in order for the bicycle to be utilized. And there's also the training of the bicycle field mechanics to ensure that there's a sustainability, a robust supply chain of spare parts, and a trained field mechanic to maintain and repair the bicycles. This is a bicycle supervisory committee. And this is the part they play a key part in sensitizing, working with the traditional leaders, which is really important as it relates to the chief and the chieftainess, the headmaster, the head of the PTA, working together as far as who should receive the bicycles, and what are the programs that need to be laid out. The students receive the bicycles, sign their study-to-own contract, and with the contract, they agree to attend classes regularly. They maintain the bicycles, improve their learning outcomes, and primarily use the bicycle for going to school. The bicycle itself does not become their property until they actually graduate from school. So there's that ongoing supervision. We never wanted to be an organization that was a dump and run. Like, here is the bicycles, good luck. We continue to maintain and monitor the bicycles over a period of time to ensure the impact is being maintained. Sustainability. It's one thing to deliver a bicycle. It's another thing to be able to make sure that bicycle is maintained. So this is Joe. He's one of our field mechanics. He's been the person on the ground that the students can go to maintain and repair the bicycles to make sure that it's still rolling. It also gives him a job. He's been trained by World Bicycle Relief on the proper maintenance. He's been proper set of skills and tools, and then also connected with the school so that he has an ongoing income coming from that. The impact from this, we just recently completed a randomized control trial study. We've shown that the bicycles reduces the commuting time by 33% and 28% reduction in absenteeism, which has been fantastic. What ties into also this education program is gender equality. When the sun comes up in Zambia, in these households and where they're living, most of the girls have to wake up and fetch the water and collect the firewood, clean the dishes, take care of younger siblings, and then walk those 5, 7, 10 miles to get to school. As you can imagine, that sort of can be pretty chaotic, and that many times they drop out of school because of their household responsibilities, or they're also many times, unfortunately, dropped out because of pregnancies or early marriages where there's a dowry that's received and they go into early marriages and drop out of education. The key to breaking the poverty and disease cycle in developing countries is education of girls. And it's for that reason that we provide 70% of the bicycles to girl students in this program. This is a picture of Stella. She was one of the girls that has received the Buffalo bicycles. She's based in Kenya. And like many girls in Kenya, she had a baby girl just before she was expected to graduate from primary school. So she starts her day, takes care of her daughter, and then she has to bicycle 7.5 miles to get to school. Can you imagine what that would be like if she had to walk that? Well, with a bicycle, she's able to make that happen. One of the last things I want to talk about is water. It's certainly a concern for many of us in the development process. Worldwide, women and girls spend an estimated 200 million hours daily collecting water. Imagine that, but 200 million hours a day, that adds up to 8.3 million days or more than 22,800 years. So if a woman started with an empty bucket in the Stone Age, she wouldn't arrive home until today, which is sort of mind-boggling to think about. With a Buffalo bicycles, one can cover the distance 4 times faster and then also carry 5 more times in weight. So obviously improves efficiency and provides more time for the day. So I hope you understand, if you mobilize these girls, these entrepreneurs, these healthcare workers, they will change their world. We've recently distributed 2,500 bicycles in partnerships with groups like Save the Children, the Red Cross, UNICEF.
Well, fantastic. What we're going to do is we're going to wind things down with some usual info, and then we'll hand it back to you for a final word in just a moment. We thank you for joining us and for helping us share the stories of those who seek to improve their communities, locally, globally, and digitally. We are part of Rotary International, 1.4 million Rotarians and Rotaractors in tens of thousands of clubs around the world. Our club is both online and always available, so you can attend one of our meetings at any time by choosing the link on our homepage, which you can find at rotary.cool. In our meetings archive, you can find the full recordings, including the Q&A between the speakers and participating members and guests. If you are interested in joining Rotary, are a former Rotarian looking to get back into the organization, or simply interested in how you might make a difference in the lives of others, take a look at the Join page on our site or at rotary.org. You can also find these links in the podcast show notes. We always like to leave the last message to our speakers, and I believe today we're going to hand it over to Kemi for the final word.
I just want to thank you all so much for allowing us to share our story with the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, and for Dave for doing a tremendous job at kind of sharing a little bit about what we do. I know he's got so much experience in the field and would love to share even more stories, but just a quick kind of reminder of who we are and what we do. We change lives through the power of bicycles and are committed to helping people conquer the challenge of distance and achieve independence and thrive.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thanks, everyone. We will see you next week.
For more inspiring stories, follow this podcast on Spotify or on other major podcast providers.